It is said that overthinking can destroy our lives faster than anything else. Our mind is a double-edged sword. It can be our best friend or our worst enemy. One small thought, one drop of fear can grow into a flood that washes away our peace and courage. We humans have a strange habit. We believe our thoughts more than we believe reality. And when those thoughts turn dark, we start building stories in our head. Stories that feel more terrifying than truth itself. This is the story of a great king, a man who had everything, power, wisdom, and glory. But one night he let his thoughts take control of him, and that became the beginning of his end. The dream that changed everything. One calm night, as the moonlight bathed the palace walls, the king lay in his royal bed. Suddenly in his dream he saw a tall, dark shadow standing silently before him. The presence was cold and heavy, and it made his heart race. The king, trembling, asked in fear, "Who are you? Why have you come to me?" The shadow replied in a deep, calm voice, "I am Death. I have come to tell you that tomorrow, before sunset, your time on this earth will end. Be prepared, for I will come to take you." The king's eyes flew open. He sat upright, gasping for air, drenched in sweat. The dream felt so real that he could still feel the chill of that shadow. He looked around the room. Everything was quiet, but his heart refused to calm down. The Palace of Fear. Within moments, the palace was awake. Servants rushed down golden corridors, guards assembled, torches were lit. The king, still shaken, called all his ministers and advisors into the royal hall. With trembling hands, he said, "I saw death in my dream. He said he would come tomorrow before sunset. What does this mean? Tell me." The ministers exchanged nervous glances. They summoned wise men, astrologers, and dream interpreters from every corner of the kingdom. Soon the royal court was filled with learned scholars holding ancient scrolls, whispering theories and arguing among themselves. One said, "Your Majesty, this is a warning from the heavens." Another said, "No, this is only your mind's illusion, nothing to fear." A third added, "Maybe our enemy will attack before sunset." And another warned, "Perhaps an earthquake will strike the palace today." Each man spoke with confidence, each with a different opinion. The air was thick with confusion and fear. As they argued endlessly, the king sat silently on his throne, watching the rising sun. Every minute felt like a lifetime. His heartbeat echoed in his ears louder than their words, and the more they spoke, the more his fear grew. The voice of wisdom. In the middle of the chaos, an old servant, the king's most loyal attendant, stepped quietly toward him. He had served the royal family for decades. His voice was calm, his eyes filled with truth. He said softly, "My lord, forgive my boldness, but you are wasting precious time. These men will argue until sunset, and you will only grow more afraid. If death has warned you, do not ignore it. Take your fastest horse and escape before sunrise. Go far away, across forests, mountains, desert, as far as you can. Maybe you can escape your fate." The king's heart clung to those words. It sounded logical, it sounded safe, and above all, it gave him hope. Without a second thought, he ordered his finest horse to be prepared. The great palace gates opened before dawn, and the king rode away, alone, desperate, and afraid. The escape from destiny. He galloped through forests where the trees whispered secrets to the wind. He crossed rivers that reflected the golden sunrise. He climbed mountains, raced across plains, and never looked back. Hours turned into half a day. The horse was tired, foam dripping from its mouth, but the king kept urging it forward. He believed that if he could just ride far enough, death would never find him. Finally, as the sun began to sink into the horizon, he reached a distant land, a valley surrounded by hills and rivers. The air was cool, the world silent. Exhausted, he stopped under a large tree on top of a hill. He got off his horse, gently patted its neck, and whispered, "You did well, my friend. We are hundreds of miles away. Death can never find us here." He smiled for the first time that day, feeling safe and victorious. But just as he sat down to rest, a sudden chill passed through the air. The wind stopped, the forest grew silent. He felt a presence, and cold, heavy, and familiar, and standing right behind him. The final encounter. The king turned around slowly and froze. Before him stood the same shadow he had seen in his dream, death itself. The king's voice cracked as he spoke. You're here? But how? I rode so far away. How did you find me?" Death smiled softly and said, "My dear king, I wasn't following you. I was waiting for you." The king's face turned pale. Death continued, You were destined to die today and right here under this very tree. When I saw you in your palace last night, I wondered how you would reach this place in time. It was so far away. So I came in your dream to remind you to make sure you would run and arrive here exactly on time. The king fell to his knees, realizing the painful truth. In his attempt to escape his destiny, he had run straight into it. The hidden lesson. This story isn't just about death, it's about life. It's about us, Muck, and how our own minds can deceive us. The king didn't die because death came for him. He died because fear ruled his decisions. He let panic take control of his mind, and that panic guided him right to the place he was meant to avoid. How often do we do the same? We overthink, we worry. We imagine the worst. We run from people, problems, situations, thinking escape will give us peace. But the truth is, what we run from often finds us again because the real problem isn't out there. It's inside us. Overthinking turns small problems into mountains. It steals our sleep, drains our energy, and blinds us from reality. We spend hours planning what-ifs, and in doing so we miss the beauty of what is. The real power lies in calmness. If the king had stayed calm, perhaps he would have realized that dreams are not commands, they're reflections of the mind. Had he faced his fear instead of fleeing, he might have lived his last day in peace and dignity. That's the truth about life. When you stay still and face your fear, the noise fades away. The moment you stop running, your mind becomes your ally again. Running away doesn't change fate. It only brings you closer to it. But courage, acceptance, and peace, and these can change everything. Final message. So remember, don't let fear and overthinking control your life. Don't give your mind the power to make small problems look like the end of the world. Sometimes what we fear the most isn't real. It's just our imagination, painted dark by worry. When you face it with courage, the fear dissolves. And when that happens, life flows again. Peace returns, and strength becomes your companion. Your mind can be your greatest servant, or your most dangerous master. The choice is always yours.